Fluent Talk Podcast.
From SayAndLearn.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Think about the last time you met someone new, and the conversation, it inevitably turns to hobbies.
It always does.
They ask, what do you like to do? And it seems so simple, right?
Right.
But the moment you start to answer, you suddenly realize there's this huge gulf between things you just, tolerate, things you actually enjoy, and then the things you're genuinely passionate about.
And how do you say that? How do you articulate that difference in one sentence?
Exactly.
Well, that's really the architecture of connection that we're diving into today. Our source material is so rich because it examines just this, how language, structures the human scale of preference.
So we're taking what looks like a simple language lesson and we're extracting the framework.
Communication framework for intimacy, really.
Yes. Our mission is to analyze that framework. We want to give you a mental shortcut, a kind of clear map of the specific words and the exact grammar you use to signal how deep your emotional investment is.
It's all about sounding authentic.
And fluent. Whether you're describing just a fleeting interest or, a life-defining passion.
And this has massive real-world value. I mean, that key question, what do you like to do, is the perfect opener to get to know someone.
It is.
But if your only response is, I like this, you're kind of stuck on the surface.
Yeah.
We need to unlock the subtle differences between just liking something and truly loving it.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to map that depth. We're tracing the line from simple fondness all the way up to intense passion, and we're going to show you the grammatical rules that govern that whole journey.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's unpack this map of preferences.
Let's do it.
So we found 3 core levels of expressing preference in our sources, and crucially, they move along an emotional spectrum. This isn't just a vocabulary list.
Right. We start at the baseline, level 1.
All right.
This is your most versatile expression. It's polite, it's safe, and it just covers things you're generally happy to do.
And the sources pointed out something really helpful right away. This I like structure is, it's uniquely flexible. It's why it's our default.
How so?
You can say, I like to read, which is the infinitive form, or you can say, I like reading, which uses the gerund, that's the action with the ing at the end.
And both are completely correct.
Totally correct. It's the most forgiving expression, structurally.
It's almost like a placeholder. It means I accept this, or I am generally receptive to this activity. But when we want to sound a little stronger, we move into a deeper commitment.
Which is level 2, I enjoy.
Right.
The moment you use enjoy, the whole context changes. It's not just happiness. It implies a kind of immersion. The sources explain that enjoy carries this specific weight, suggesting you really, really like it.
And crucially, you enjoy the process of doing it.
Exactly. And here's where the structure starts to reveal that linguistic nuance. For you listening, if you're seeking true fluency, this is a really key takeaway.
When you use enjoy, the grammar, it tightens up. We notice that enjoy almost always insists on that ing form.
Yeah, you can't really say, I enjoy to walk. It just sounds sniff.
It sounds wrong.
You have to say, I enjoy walking in the park. The grammar is basically forcing you to focus on the continuous action, the process of enjoyment itself.
Precisely. So if one of the speakers in the source material mentioned they enjoy cooking, the correct fluent phrasing is, I enjoy cooking, not I enjoy to cook.
That structural knowledge is absolutely vital when you're trying to scale up your preference from level 1 to level 2.
And that brings us to level 3.
This is the strongest level. This isn't just liking it very much. This is saying this preference is, it's defining.
It signals passion, sometimes, bordering on obsession. If you use love correctly, you are sharing something that genuinely brings you deep maximal happiness.
Yeah, these are the heavy hitters.
The ones that really define you.
And when we analyze the preferences in the source material, the things people loved fell into these very core categories. I love music. I love dogs.
I love chocolate.
I love weekends. These are primal connections. And the structure is a bit simpler again. You can often just attach the noun, but the emotional intensity is just off the charts.
It's about signaling a core component of your identity.
So let's spend a moment and just drill down on that structural rule, because this is really the difference between simple vocabulary and genuine fluency. Why does the grammar get more restrictive as we move up the scale? Why does enjoy demand the gerund?
Well, it really comes down to intent and focus. Think about the difference between the infinitive and the gerund for a second.
Okay.
When you say, I like to read, the infinitive, that to read part, it often refers to the potential or the possibility, or maybe the result of the action.
So you like the idea of reading.
You like the idea of reading or the fact that you will read.
That makes perfect sense for like, because like is so flexible. I like to start reading a new book.
Exactly.
Mm.
But when you move to I enjoy, the focus shifts completely to the action itself.
Right.
The gerund, that ing format, emphasizes the continuous, immersive process. You don't enjoy the potential for walking. You enjoy walking right now. The feeling is tied to the experience.
So the grammar forces us to confirm we enjoy the moment. That's why we say, I enjoy playing with my cat. I think one of the speakers mentioned their cat, Luna, who is very sweet and very funny.
Right. The pleasure is in the act of that continuous engagement with Luna.
That is the structural takeaway. It ensures a seamless, fluent expression because it eliminates any potential confusion.
When you know that I enjoy requires the ing, you don't pause to translate. You're focusing on the feeling, and the construction just becomes unconscious. This is the difference between memorizing a rule and actually owning the language's internal logic.
So if that structure is the engine, let's look at the fuel. We spent some time organizing the sheer variety of activities the sources covered to see how people apply this scale.
And what emerged were 4 pretty distinct landscapes of enjoyment. They help categorize not just what people do, but maybe why they do it.
Let's start with category 1, the solo or relaxation activities. These are often about finding peace or, a sense of control.
And this category really highlighted the importance of routine.
It did. Reading, for instance, wasn't just reading. It was specified as in the morning with my coffee.
It's a ritual.
It's a ritualized moment that's so relaxing. It shows the pleasure often comes from the routine itself.
Right.
We also saw evening wind-down activities.
Yeah.
Watching TV series or listening to podcasts.
And there was that humorous nod to the source material itself with the mention of the Mr. English channel.
Right. Then we shift pretty dramatically into category 2, active and creative pursuits. And this is where the immersion of that I enjoy structure really shined.
Take walking.
Yeah, it wasn't just I like walking. It was specifically walking in the park to see the trees and flowers. One speaker even quantified it, walking 3 times a week because it makes me happy.
That's an interesting link. The enjoyment is tied directly to the commitment and the emotional boost you get from it. It suggests a higher purpose than just leisure.
Yeah, and cooking falls here too. Enjoying making pasta and focusing on perfecting a simple tomato sauce.
That shows pride in creation, not just consumption. The passion is in the craft.
Or playing sports. I like to play football. But again, the key part was the process. I enjoy playing is what really matters, the act of moving and engaging.
Okay, so our third category, entertainment and media. This one showed the most nuanced emotional needs among the speakers. We saw a really stark contrast in music preferences.
Absolutely. Pop music was described as something that makes one want to dance. So that's enjoyment tied to energy, movement, stimulation.
And on the other hand,
Jazz was described as very relaxing. That suggests a totally different emotional need, one of contemplation, of calm.
And movies showed that same duality. A preference for funny movies or comedies that make me laugh, which satisfies a need for lightness.
Versus a preference for action movies, with cars and lots of adventure, which fulfills a need for excitement and escapism.
And finally, category 4.
Socializing and life preferences. These are the relational forms of enjoyment. Spending time with family and friends, visiting parents for lunch, meeting friends for coffee. Core values, really, expressed as preferences.
And there was a truly fascinating insight in the sources about the whole concept of shopping. It really highlights how context determines the preference level.
Yes, one speaker likes shopping for food, but they framed it as part of the cooking experience.
So it's an integrated creative step for them.
Exactly. But that same person did not love shopping for clothes, describing it as tiring. Yet they loved shopping for books.
So that tells you the core enjoyment isn't the physical act of shopping at all.
Not at all. It's the underlying value nourishment, creativity, or intellectual stimulation that dictates where it lands on that scale.
And we even saw seasonal preferences, which are preferences tied directly to atmosphere. Loving summer for the long sunny days.
Versus loving autumn specifically for the colors of the trees. Red, yellow, orange. It's a preference for certain kinds of beauty, linking observation directly to satisfaction.
So, moving beyond the positive expressions, we need tools for conversation that let us express the opposite of liking and also how we can express future goals. This kind of rounds out our whole preference toolkit.
And the good news is that expressing the negative is structurally very simple. It lets you immediately establish boundaries and clarity.
You just add don't.
You just add don't. And your
Wow.
don't like is just as defining as your like. If I like coffee, I say I don't like tea. If I like to play football, I say I don't like to play sports very much. It just immediately communicates your boundaries.
And you can apply this to the environment too. I don't like rainy days.
Although it's always fun to note that some people do enjoy rainy days.
Oh, absolutely. They see it as an excuse to stay home with a book and a cup of tea. So even your dislikes help define your personal refuge.
Okay, so here's the shift to the aspirational. For things you haven't done yet, things you want to do in the future, we have our critical aspirational phrase.
I would love to.
Yes.
This phrase is a fantastic tool because it signals not just desire, but intent. It reveals a future self you're working towards, which can be vulnerable but also extremely connecting in a conversation.
And the nurses gave great examples related to travel. I would love to visit Italy, specifically for the food, the pasta.
It tells the listener your values include culinary exploration.
Or, I would love to visit Japan, described as a very beautiful country. This signals a desire for cultural immersion, for aesthetics.
And it also applies to skill development. I would love to learn to play the guitar, or I would love to learn how to speak Spanish. By expressing an aspirational love, you're sharing your self-improvement goals.
This entire framework, when you put it into action, it reveals a complete personal profile. The sources provided this fantastic summary challenge about a fictional person named Alex. If we run through Alex's preferences, we see all 5 structures integrated seamlessly.
Okay, so Alex likes to wake up early. That's a baseline acceptance of a positive habit.
Then Alex doesn't like coffee in the evening. That's a personal boundary.
Alex loves to cook dinner. That's a passion, a defining activity.
But Alex doesn't like washing the dishes.
The universally relatable boundary.
Exactly, but it uses that core negative structure perfectly.
So that short list used 4 of the 5 phrases, which just shows you how tightly integrated these structures are in daily conversation when you're scaling your life's preferences.
Okay, so let's quickly summarize the full toolkit we've put together from these sources. You now have 5 essential phrases for scaling your preferences. I like.
I enjoy.
I don't like.
And I would love to.
And when you couple that with the structural knowledge, the flexibility of like versus that tight focus on the gerund with enjoy, you are equipped not just for grammatical correctness, but for genuine, nuanced conversation. Because mastering these preference structures is so much more than a language lesson. It is the fastest route to finding things you have in common and really understanding the motivations, the habits, and the emotional needs of other people.
That's the real payoff. The source material suggests asking someone, "What do you like to do?" is a perfect start to any conversation. But the sheer range of activities discussed, from the choice of music to the choice between shopping for clothes or for books, tells us that the specific preference you choose to share first is incredibly revealing.
So here's the thought we want to leave you with. Considering your own values, what specific preference do you reserve your strongest I love for?
Does that passion relate to relaxation, creativity, movement, or connection?
And what does that powerful defining preference say about your core identity? Reflect on that and try using all 5 of these structures actively in your next conversation.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the language of liking.
We'll see you next time.